What's up, guys? Welcome to Demo with Mo. I'm your host, Monique Simmons. We'll be discussing dating, engaged, and married objectives from a young Christian's perspective. Are you guys ready? Let's dive in. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to a new episode of Demo with Mo. I am your host, Monique Simmons. Today, we are going to be discussing a recap of 2022 and discussing our goals and desires for 2023. I don't know about y'all, but 2022 came in and got on down. It got right on up out of here. As you are listening to this episode, this is the last podcast for 2022. How crazy is that? We have literally went through a whole year and it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it at all. So many things has happened this year. So many good, bad, ups and downs. So many things. So something that I know a lot of people do, and I do this myself, I always like to, as the year gets ready to end, as we prepare to go into the new year, we always have our New Year's resolutions and we have our goals and desires of what we want to do going into the new year. But something that I am mindful of, or something that I like to be intentional about, is looking back at that previous year. Because something that I have started doing lately, because I am a person that's always on to the next thing. Like, I can check a box off and I'm on to the next thing. But this year has taught me to slow down, enjoy the moment, enjoy the experience, be totally present for all of it. The good, the bad, the ugly, the parts I don't like, the parts that I love so much, the valleys, the mountaintops, all of it. Like, literally be present in the moment, like to experience it, to feel the moment, to smell the moment, to see the moments, to watch the moments, to take in the moments and not be so concerned about what's next, what's the next thing. So something that I like to do is I go into or prepare for all of the things that I want to do in the new year. And that's my life in general, whether that's with the podcast, that's in my marriage, that's with my children, that's with my job, my career, with my hobbies, with ministry, literally with my life, period. I like to see all of the things that have transpired the year before. What did I do well? What could I have done better? What decisions did I make that negatively impacted my life? What decisions did I make that made a positive impact on my life? Like, literally take an inventory. And this is not me just saying this to me, but I encourage you to do the same thing. Like, don't rush into 2023. Don't rush into new year, new me. Don't rush into, these are all of the things that I want to accomplish in 2023. Don't rush. Once you're hearing this, unless you're hearing this and you're already into 2023, and don't worry, that's cool too, because even if you're into 2023, once you're listening to this, you still can begin to take an inventory of your life in 2022. And you can even go back further than then if you want to go a few years back, but take an inventory of where your life has been. What has happened? What has transpired? How has your relationships with others changed? How has your mindset changed? What were your goals at the beginning of the year in 2022? What were your desires? What were some of the things that you wanted to do? Did you accomplish those things? Did you meet those goals? Did you get some of your desires? Like, what are those things? Did you get closer in your relationship with God? Did you get closer in your relationship with your partner, your spouse? Did you see your children accomplish some things? Like, what is it that you sought out after this year? What were your expectations for 2022? Take inventory. If there were some things you didn't like or some things that could have been better, I encourage you to take personal inventory. Don't think about what so and so what my partner could have done, what my child could have done, what my employer could have done, what my pastor could have done, what my parents could have done, what my sister or brother could have done. No, what could I have done to make this better? I encourage you to take a personal inventory of your life. What could I have done differently? Or if I did that well, how can I continue with that going into this new year? How could I even make it better if I need to? If you stayed on track with your goals or your resolutions, I want you to take inventory. What kept me with staying on my goals? How did I accomplish my New Year's resolutions? How can I continue that going into the new year? Whatever that looks like for you, whatever you set out at the beginning of this year, when you take the inventory of this past year, or if, like I said, if you need to go back even further, if you look back over your life and there are some things that you want to change, or some things that you could have done better, or some decisions that maybe you regret. And I know some people don't like the word regret. You know, you ask people about regrets and they say, I don't have regrets because I wouldn't be where I am today. I understand their sentiments, but I think regret can be a beautiful thing because if we're honest, when we do have regrets, it gives us the opportunity to look in the mirror, to take a look at ourselves. It shows me, or it gives me the meter of what could I have done differently. If I do have regret, what decision could I have made differently? What could I have done differently? How can I move differently going forward? I don't think there's anything wrong with regret. But if I go through my life and there is no regret, I think everything is okay. I think I don't ever have to change. I think all the decisions I've made along the way are fine, whether I hurt someone or mistreated someone, or the decisions I made affected someone in a negative way. That's okay, because I wouldn't be where I am today. But regret is okay. Because sometimes we mess up, sometimes we fall short, sometimes we hurt people. But what can I do differently going forward? So I encourage you, take inventory over this past year and the things that have happened and transpired and what you can do differently or better going into this new year. And once you take that inventory and you write out all those things, I want to encourage you, if there were some things that you could have done better, if there were some relationships that you messed up, if there were some people that you impacted in a negative way, if there were some people that you hurt, some things that you didn't right, if you have the opportunity and you can make it right, I encourage you, as you prepare to go into this new year, make it right. And I also want to encourage you to give yourself some grace. Don't live your life in shame. The difference between shame and guilt. Guilt says you made a mistake. The beautiful thing about our God is we can go to Him and confess those things, and He will forgive us for our sins. But the thing about shame is, which the enemy loves to shame us, shame says, I am my mistake. And you're not. You're just not. Sometimes we make bad decisions. Sometimes we hurt people. Sometimes we say the wrong things. And yes, we feel bad. Yes, we are convicted. Yes, we should make it right. But don't live in shame, because you are not your bad decisions. You are not your mistakes. So give yourself some grace. Don't live in shame. If you have the opportunity to make it right, make it right. And also, for those positive things, those accomplishments, those goals, those New Year resolutions, those things that you've done throughout this year, I want you to pat yourself on the back. I want you to hug yourself. I want you to congratulate yourself. I want you to tell yourself, job well done. Whatever that looks like for you. If someone in your life whom you love very well, if they accomplish something, if they set out to do something, if they had a goal or a New Year's resolution or something big in their life, even if it was something small in their life, if it was something that they desired to do and they did it, what would you say to them? What would you do for them? How would you show up for them? I want you to do that for you. It's so easy to focus on the negative things. That's why I started off with that. with the negatives, because there are things that we could do better. There are ways we can show up better. There are people and relationships that we can treat better and make those things right. That's why I started off with that. But we can get stuck there. I don't want you to get stuck there. Remember earlier when I told you I'm always on to the next thing? I accomplished something and I'm on to the next thing. The negative side of that, being always on to the next thing, you don't celebrate yourself when you accomplish something that you set out to accomplish, when you get something that you desired, when you did a job well done. But I encourage you, if you did that this year, no matter how big or how small, even if no one else knew about it was just between you and God, or people knew about it and they didn't celebrate you, or they didn't cheer you on, or they didn't support you the way that you thought they should, or the way you wanted them to. I encourage you to do that for yourself. Before you get on into 2023 and the new goals and the new desires and the new things that you want to accomplish, I encourage you to celebrate you. Celebrate you like crazy. Do you hear me? Celebrate you like crazy. Because you did it. You did it. There were so many things that I set out to do this year. I started individual therapy this year. Yeah, that was a big step for me, like a huge step for me. And I didn't even expect to get emotional right now. And I have tears in my eyes as I say this to you guys, because when I do my podcast, when I do these recordings with you guys, I always have my podcast notebook in front of me. I always prepare beforehand. I know what I'm going to discuss. I know what topic I have. I've prayed about it. I've talked to God about it. I've done my due diligence. But today, it is off dome. I challenged myself to do this because I said this is the last podcast for the year. I didn't want to prepare beforehand or have a notebook in front of me or any of those things. I really just wanted to come on here and have a conversation with you guys as if you were sitting in my living room and I was having a conversation with my friends or my family or people that I love. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I set out to do with today's podcast episode. So I don't have any notes. This is just a conversation between you and I. Even though this podcast is going out all over the world. We have listeners all over the world, but it's if I'm having a one-on-one conversation with you. And I had no idea where this would lead or where this would go. And I said all this to say because I didn't expect to get emotional because I really didn't know where this conversation would lead. But I've set out with goals and desires for myself at the beginning of the year. And I always try to have a word for the year. I didn't necessarily have New Year's resolutions for 2022, and nothing against New Year's resolutions. I don't want you to hear this and think I'm in judgment or against New Year's resolutions, because I am not. Any way that you can be a better you, I encourage it. So if New Year's resolutions is your thing, to be better, to be a better version of yourself, to hold yourself accountable, I'm for it. But I usually have a word for the year. And my word for this year was intentional. And I have been very intentional about my well-being and taking care of myself this year. If you follow me on social media, you especially on Facebook at Demo with Mo, you would know I have been doing a lot of self-care, well-being things throughout the year. But for the whole month of November, which is my birthday month, I do a self-care challenge every year for the whole month, where each day I do something specific for myself each day. And that was just my way to take care of myself, to promote self-care and promote me taking care of my well-being. And that was an accountability piece with sharing it with you guys and bringing you along my journey on my social media platform. And that was one of my things this year. And I'm going to be honest with you, even though it was a beautiful experience for me, and I'm going to continue it as I go into this new year, it was hard as well. A lot of relationships changed for me because in the past, and I learned this in therapy as well, This is just me being transparent with you guys. I learned in therapy as well, and it's something that stemmed from my childhood. From a lot of different things that happened, but something that I would always do is I would not speak up about how I felt about things. I would never really be honest, even if it was my story to tell or something that affected me. I was never honest, truly honest about how I felt. I was always thinking about how what I would say or what I would do would affect others. So if it involved 5 other people, I'm mindful of all 5 other people. What are they going to think about this? How are they going to feel about this? How will this affect them? If I tell this, if I share this, if I say this, what will other people think about them? I was always concerned about everybody else, but I was never concerned about me. And I took that into my adulthood, and it caused me to be resentful in my relationships, but it wasn't because of them. It was because of me. It was because of something that I was deciding to do, because I didn't want to hurt anybody. I didn't want to rock the boat in any of my relationships, and I had to learn how to stop doing it. I had to learn how to put boundaries in place. I had to learn how to speak up and be honest about how I was feeling in a respectful way. I had to learn how to stand up for myself. I had to learn how to prioritize myself. I had to learn how to say yes when I wanted to say yes and say no when I wanted to say no. I had to make sure that when I said yes, my yes on the outside match my yes on the inside. Meaning, I'm not saying yes because I want to please somebody else, or I want them to like me, or I want them to feel good about me. But on the inside, I'm mad and I'm resentful because I really didn't want to do it, or I really didn't want to go, or I really didn't want to be there. But I didn't want them to know that, so I said yes. I had to learn how to stop doing it. All of these things that I have been doing all my life, which was second nature to me, and I really never thought anything of it. I just thought that's who I am, and that's the way to be. But I'm this year, and even starting before this year, but mainly this year. If you have been listening to these podcast episodes this year, you will know that God has literally been stretching me and pulling me and growing me and taking me to higher levels in Him. He's literally causing me to unlearn a lot of stuff that has been with me for so long. For so long. Because it can be easy, y'all. It can be easy to blame others for how we are, the way we think, the way we see the world, the way we do things. It can be easy to do that, but we have to be accountable for ourselves. We have to make the decision if we're going to change, if we're going to be different, if we're going to do something different. Because, yes, people could have done something that affected you in a negative way. People could have done something that hurt you, that could have negatively impacted your life, changed the dynamic of your life, all of those things. I am not negating that. I know that to be true 100%. But I also know there's a point in our life where we get to decide, where we get to choose. Will that be my story for the rest of my life? Will I continue down that road of allowing someone else's decisions to control my life, to dictate my life, how I'm going to live, how I'm going to respond, how I'm going to raise my children, how I'm going to love my partner or love my spouse, how I'm going to treat and love myself? Or am I going to decide that I'm going to love me? I'm going to dictate how I live my life, the decisions that I make, how my children will be raised, what I will do. We get to choose that. So there has been a lot of growing for me this year. There has been a lot of changes for me this year. And I said all it to say, even though I have accomplished a lot this year and I've done a lot this year, a lot of the things that I set out to do, a lot of things have changed for me as well, because a lot of those decisions that I had to make was hard. Because I don't know if you know it or not, doing what's best for you is not always easy. It's not always easy. Doing what's right for your family is not always easy. Choosing your relationship with God is not always easy. Because we can go to church, We can confess and profess to people that we are Christians, but saying it and your life reflecting it, you being submitted unto God, living a life that reflects you're submitted unto God, meaning you're seeking Him for the decisions that you make. You're living a life that is pleasing unto Him. You're in His Word. You're in constant prayer and supplication with Him, and you're trying to love others and love your enemies and do good to those that despitefully use you, and all of these things that God asks of us. It's not always easy. Is it worth it though? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, another thing this year, did a lot of vacations. We did a lot of vacations. I really wanted to spend a lot of time traveling with my husband and my kids. That was one of the main things I set out for this year. I really wanted to have some intentional time with my family, with my husband and our children. We went on a lot of trips. My husband and I did a bunch of road trips for our anniversary, for my birthday. We took the kids on trips. We actually just came back from Missouri. We took a 10-hour drive there to see family. We had an amazing time. We actually got to have a white Christmas in the snow. It was absolutely beautiful. So the traveling, that has been one of my top things for this year. I'm just grateful that we got to have that, because that was one of my husband and I's that is one of my husband and I's values for our family, to make sure that we have that time together, because that was something that we desired going into our marriage, is making sure we have that time, especially with traveling. We want our kids to be exposed to more than just our state where we live and our little area, but we want them to be able to see the world around us. So that was one of my highlights for this year. Also, on one of our trips we took earlier at the beginning of the year, which was a big highlight for this year, my husband and I took our first plane ride together with one of my closest friends and her husband. And we all went to Orlando to surprise one of our closest friends and her husband. It was just beautiful. It just was everything. Words wouldn't even do it justice. You can't take for granted when you have people in your life who love you and show up for you. I couldn't put a price on it. I am beyond blessed thinking about the circle of people, the village of people that I have in my life. And not even just my friends, but my friends are a huge part of that. My heart is full to think about the village that my husband and I and our children have around us. I am grateful that God, in His love for us, He has surrounded us with a village of people who love us, who support our marriage, who love our children, who have been there for us in such various ways. It's our friends, it's our church family, our church ministry. Like, they're a second family to us, and it's not taken lightly or taken for granted by me at all. And if you are like that as well, you have people that are not linked to you by blood. These are not people that you were born into, because family, you feel like you have an obligation to each other because, you're family. You were born into this family together. But when people love you just because they choose to love you, and they support you just because they choose to support you, and they show up for you and they're there for you because they genuinely care about you, don't ever take that for granted, because people don't have to do that. So I am grateful to God for the village that we have around us and the support system that we have, because I'm going to be honest with you, we wouldn't be where we are today without the village of people who have poured into us and supported us and encouraged us and prayed for us in some of our hardest times in our life and in our marriage and raising our babies. So I am just grateful. My heart is just full. Again, y'all, I don't have notes in front of me, so if I come off as if I'm rambling, I am not, but I am literally, I told you guys, I like to take an inventory over the last year and just remember all of the things that have transpired and what has gone on. And I am literally doing this in real time. So as I am talking to you, I am in my body feeling all of the emotions as I am thinking about all of the things that have transpired this year. So you are here with me as I am feeling it as I am talking to you. So I hope you do the same thing for me, because you're not going to be able to feel what I'm feeling because you didn't experience what I experienced, but you had your own experiences this year. And I encourage you to do the same. Take that inventory. What happened this year? The highs, the lows, the good, the bad. Because y'all had some low moments now. It ain't just all been good. And you guys know me. I'm going to keep it real and I'm going to be transparent. I'm not one of those people that things are always good and the sun is always shining and it never rains and there's nothing ever wrong and there are no bad days and there are no hard days. That's not me. I am optimistic. I do always try to see the good. I do trust God. I do believe all things work together for my good. I do believe he takes the bad and work it out. I do. So you will always hear me from a positive perspective or a positive point of view, because that's just who I am as a person and who I've grown into in my relationship with God. But that doesn't mean there aren't hard days. That doesn't mean that I don't have troubling, hard times. That doesn't mean that I'm not sad sometimes, because I am. I just talked to you guys a couple weeks ago and told you that it's okay not to be okay, because that's real. And that's real life for me. I'm not just saying that just to be saying that. So 2022 has been one for the books. It has literally been one for the books. The good, the bad, and the ugly. But it has been one for the books. And God is going to take it all and make it beautiful. He is. And he's going to do the same thing for you. So going into 2023, I have goals, I have desires, I have things that I want to do, things that I want to accomplish. I do. But I'm going to sit down and write down my inventory the same way I'm telling you guys to do it. I'm going to do the same thing as well. I'm going to write down the things that has transpired this year, the things that I could have done better, the hard moments, the sad moments. Where can I make some relationships better? Where can I do some things right? Where can I change? All of that. What did I accomplish? How can I celebrate myself? What can I do? All of that. I'm going to take my inventory too, and then I'm going to write out the things that I want to accomplish in 2023. And if you heard last week's episode, if not, I encourage you, while you guys are out on the holidays, if you're off work, go binge listen to all the podcast episodes this year. I really encourage you to go back and listen to the episodes this year. There were some great episodes this year, and I know I am totally biased, but there were some great episodes this year. But in last week's episode, I told you, as you get ready to write out your New Year's resolutions, your goals, your things you want to accomplish, the things you want to get done going into the new year, going into 2023, don't leave God out. Don't make your plans and then ask God to co-sign it. Don't make your plans and say, these are all the things that I'm going to get done. Don't make your plans and don't even consider what God would think, or if this would even please him, or if this is even his will for your life. Go into it. Make your plans, make your desires, make your list of things that you want to accomplish. But take your list to God and ask God, Lord, is this your will for me? Are these the things that you desire from me? Will these things bring you glory in my life? Is this the area that you want me in? Is this what you desire for my life? Is this where I need to be? And if so, Lord, open the doors for where I need to be. Direct my path in the way that I should go. Show me what I need to do. But if not, Lord, show me where I need to be. Change my mind, change my desires. Help my will to line up with your will. Help my desires to line up with your desires, because I don't want to be outside of your will. I don't want to go another year doing what I want to do and leaving you out. I don't want to go another year where I have all of these things, but I don't have you. So take your inventory. If you can make it right, make it right. The things that you did well, celebrate yourself. The things that you could have done better, figure out a game plan on how you can make it better. Give yourself grace. Don't live in shame because you are not your mistakes. Yes, you made a mistake. Yes, you may have made a bad decision, but you are not your mistakes. You are not that bad decision. As you go into the new year, write out your goals, the things you want to accomplish, the things that you desire. But take it to God and ask God, is this what He would have for your life? Don't leave Him out. And don't ask Him to co-sign your plan and just go along with what it is that you want. But seek Him and make sure this is what He desires for you. All right, y'all. This is the last one for 2022. Happy New Year. I know y'all know this. I love you, but God loves you so much more. I'll talk to you next week. Bye, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Follow me on Facebook at Demo with Mo. If you have any questions you would like answered here live on my podcast, email them to me at demowithmo@gmail.com. That's DEMOWITHMO@gmail.com.